Hey, my name is Emma, and welcome to my podcast, where each week I'll be inviting a guest on and asking them the question, do you mind sharing your life experiences with me, where we'll be talking about social issues, political issues, mental health, and everything in between. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We're just going to have a little chill.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to do a meditation.
Actually, let me keep my eyes closed as
Keep
you
your
talk.
eyes closed, Debbie.
Fucking hell, you need to
just follow
reach
my
out.
voice.
No, reach out to Headspace.
I will.
Yeah. Like
I'll
I'm
do
gonna
some
burst out
ASMR.
crying anytime soon. Like
Aww.
just with like the
I
next
could sing
5.
you a song.
Please don't. Like literally though, like you need to reach out to meditation apps.
I will. I might do.
Oh my god,
I might do.
It's a gorgeous voice.
Yeah.
Were you always like that?
I was a singer when I was younger.
What type of
So
songs?
I did a lot of like classical singing.
Yeah.
So very like
Rap.
Oh,
Hip
full
hop.
on. Oh, that's my background.
Irish drill and stuff
yeah,
as well.
Yeah. Grime. Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I do. Full on in my spare time,
I
as you
think-
can see.
There you go. So like reach out to meditation apps
Yes.
and then maybe release an album.
Hard on.
I'm sure
Rap,
even the
grime.
fact that you just whispered. Everyone who's listening right now is like, Emma, keep going.
Welcome to my podcast.
Fucking hell. That's it. I'm excited.
Thank you. So I suppose my little space here, I call it my little safe space. And it kind of came about because I wanted to share my voice and my story, but not just mine. And I wanted to make it a little bit bigger. And so I'm inviting you to kind of share your story and your voice today. So I was wondering, because to me, you have such a powerful and like unapologetically yourself voice. Have you always had that kind of voice?
Yes. In a singing. No, definitely not. I think it was just one of those things where it would adapt based on the people that I was hanging out with and not.
Yeah.
I was always very sarcastic though.
Yes.
So there always was that element of like humor to me and confidence that, like, let's say when I was even in first grade, right, in primary school, I was the one sitting in front, but in front of the teacher in such a way where I'm talking to the teacher, but then I'm also entertaining the entire class.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't like, I was always very obedient and I had a loud voice.
Yeah.
But I knew how to use it from a very young age, if that made
that's
sense.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like since meeting you, we're definitely similar in a lot of ways, but I think we're different in a lot of ways as well. Because I think when I was younger, I was saying to you earlier, like I was completely the quiet kid in the back of the classroom who was just like smiling and nodding all the time, feeling like I had to be like the perfect like little girl. And then until my story came out, I kind of just was like, okay, this is me. Like, I don't care. You know, this is what I'm doing. This is what I stand for. But like you've always had that power in your voice to be like yourself, I suppose, or did you ever struggle with that?
I struggled with sharing it. So it's like the people that knew me knew how I was.
Yeah.
So if I was ever quiet, it was always like, what's wrong with Debbie? In saying that though, it wasn't behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It wasn't encouraged.
Yes.
So when I started the podcast out, it was like, don't talk, Deb. You know, or
Yes,
what are you doing? Or something so silly, but remember Ask FM?
Yeah.
I would be sharing like my responses and like the message behind it was like, my feed is entirely you. Stop that. So it's not like it was something that was embraced and it was very tuned out.
Yeah.
But as the years went on and as I got older and moving countries, I kind of figured out that one consistency, which was I'm happiest and I'm most naturally me when I am like just talking, when I am asking the questions, when I am being sarcastic.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's just like I just use humor and I use sarcasm to make people feel more comfortable.
I love that.
It's goofy.
Yeah,
It's goofy. That's
it is.
basically it. It's
But I
nothing
think
else.
you're a good gauge of like personality as well. But do you think that people need to kind of, I suppose, earn a voice? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like you can get a voice from so many different ways. For me, it was suffering. I got my voice and I feel like some empowerment from suffering. Other people get it from maybe just being naturally kind of outgoing. But do you think a lot of greatness comes from, because I've been battling with that recently, you know, they tell you everything happens for a reason, you know, everything, your suffering is for a reason. Do you think that's a thing? You know, do you think that helps in any way in your life, for example? Has that helped?
So of course, suffering had a lot to do with it. I think a lot of people can relate to the fact that growing up, maybe there was a side to them that wasn't encouraged and was like rest. And that is just being raised in the society that, like, when it comes to culture and values and whatnot, and the way our parents were raised and all that. Do I think you need to suffer in order to have a voice? No.
Yeah.
Because there are people that were born into massive privilege that also have something to say.
Yeah.
And I don't think that just because you were born into privilege or luck of the draw, that you need to have to suffer through something horrendous.
Yes. It's like you don't need to have to claw your way up to something.
No, exactly. That's it. And it's also just like, I think the world needs to hear more people's stories. It is unfortunate that, like when you do look at the massive stories that we hear, there are dark times, but there's also dark times in nearly everything. I think
definitely
in order, like the only reason why people think that you need to earn something in order to say it is 100% because you have to go through it and you have to experience something. And when it comes to experiencing something to the point where you are comfortable to talk about it enough, that means that you would have had to struggle in one way or another.
Yes.
So probably even in your case, when you were saying when you came out with your story, you were comfortable enough to come out with your story because you saw a lot of shit happen that you weren't happy with it. If someone were to come out with their OCD story that they got diagnosed with 1 week ago, there wouldn't be that much substance to it.
Yes, that's true.
And that's it. It's like, that's where the time element comes into it. So, like the likes of you, you're starting out your podcast. I'm just a year into it.
Yeah.
We can go over to Blind Boy, that's just a county away from us, and he's 10 years into it.
Yes.
Different. Very different.
Yeah.
So for now, it's like I can give you podcasting advice because I'm a year ahead of you, but it's nowhere going to be compared to what he can offer both of us.
Definitely. And do you find that since you started and where you are now, like even in your podcasting, that you've grown as a person, or that you found different topics that maybe you prefer to cover now that you didn't before, even politically wise or entertainment wise?
100%. I think the fact that I turned 25 is quite a massive thing. I don't know if you can relate, but I feel like there has, like, you know how sometimes they say like your brain is finally developed?
Yes.
It's so strange, but turning 25, like I feel like 2022 was the year where all that wisdom that I was reading caught up with me. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
But I do feel like there's a different like energy around me.
Yes.
So there was that. Also being exposed to so many people from different walks of life gave me a really big understanding in finding the most common thing between them all, which is work ethic, which is being patient and constantly showing up. It's literally those three. That it has also given me confidence Do I like to cover certain things more than others? Yeah. But you'll be surprised. Sometimes you go about going like, all right, look, yeah, let me bring this person on. Like I'm kind of stuck for a guest.
Yeah.
Then you end up having the best chat with them.
That's the thing. Maybe because it's out of your comfort zone a little bit and you kind of push yourself.
You push yourself most of the time, you prepare a lot more.
Yeah.
Which is
that
a
is
massive,
true.
massive feature. I think it's also unfortunate whereby you go, oh, this person will be great. They've been on so many podcasts.
Yes.
But then the fact that you're bringing them on to do something somewhat different is also out of their comfort zone. So it's not the best one. It's not their best work, if that makes sense. Weirdly enough, whenever I stop recording, the one commenting that they tell me is that was different. And it was a good different.
Yes.
And that's definitely because of the fact that it's an independent podcast.
And it is. And I feel like people are, I think people are growing away from traditional media more and more towards podcasting because we want to know more about people's lives. Like even me, I find people so intriguing and just normal people. Like what is their life like? Like how do you function? How do you go day by day? Like how is that different than me and how can I learn from you? I don't know. I think podcasting, it just creates that space that we can learn that without, as we were saying earlier on, like editing and censoring so much in between that we're just alien to each other, you know?
And I think it's just about being real. I think people are craving that.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that there's so many real people out there, but short form content is dominating the game in such a way where you're getting the 30-second version of them. And I owe my career to short form content and I haven't even skyrocketed. So there is that element of like, it's my enemy, but it's also my friend. I just wish that there was the slight patience that came from traditional media where you sat down and you watched the entire show. Whereas now it's like people aren't sitting down to watch the entire show. They're sitting down to scroll. And if they end up on your profile and like do that, it's a weird one. It gives
you like a dopamine hit, doesn't it? Like getting that little 30-second video and then you move on and you move on and move on.
And it's also interesting because I do think that there are some clips that I have put more effort into that tell the full story and are educational, but they don't perform too well on the algorithm because this broad concept needed, shocker, 1 minute. Like, fucking hell. You know, where that's I got a 10-minute segment to go into that. Sometimes these topics don't even need, or they need more than 10 minutes. If not more than an entire podcast episode. So yeah, it's interesting. I think all the independent podcasters are kind of working their way towards a talk show. That's like the fun stuff. That's where like good stuff happens.
Definitely.
All good?
Got some lighting going on here.
Moody. You imagine?
We have a podcast ghost.
I think we should name it.
Or do we have an electricity?
Hey.
Are we having back?
To make sure that I'm on airplane mode. I should be though. Oop, I wasn't. There you go. We're all good. Carry on.
Lighting.
I like how I just like immediately looked at you like, oh, we're all good. My dude. Yeah.
I was like, let's just continue. This is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I actually think we should have a snooze.
Yeah.
Carry on.
A little rest. I wonder would people watch that?
They'll watch you.
Sleeping.
Yeah. Like they'll want you to put them to sleep.
I think so.
Yeah. Am I over here just to roast you?
Yes.
Like is that why you brought me on?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I love it.
You're very out there. Carry on.
Just roasting. But
that's my picnic blanket look.
It looks amazing. You look beautiful. Stunning.
Thank you.
Glowing, should I say.
And that's what you get for roasting.
I could go on.
You're so nice.
No.
Yeah. Or you mean like behind the scenes or
Do you know
something?
what? Another thing I admire so much about you. I was watching like a lot of your content and everything. Is like, this may sound weird, but how much you curse. I admire it because I wish I could curse more. Like, I physically can't curse.
Oh, you're one of those people where you go,
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit. Like,
yeah.
but I wish I could, because I think they're important words, first of all. And I think they mean something. Because it is like, it's a vocabulary. It's part of any language.
Mm.
Like, I curse in Polish a lot more than I curse in English, just because I know how
Good.
to. But it's weird. It's just a thing, I think, coming from my background as well, that I'm like afraid to be like I'm afraid to be like anything but like girly. I don't know. Is that exposing myself too much?
But are you
like,
comfortable in that?
Not really.
Okay.
Like, I love to be a bit more not girly, to be honest with
Go on,
you.
say it.
I like, I don't know. Fuck.
You got it.
Yeah. I just like, I felt like I've just been living in a box for so long of like, I have to be this perfect woman or a girl and act in a certain way. And maybe I'm putting those expectations on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, just hearing, like, I know this is so strange, but hearing you curse and hearing you just be yourself, I'm like, yes, Debbie, like, go on, like, just be yourself. Like, it's amazing. Like, do you think you've always been like, you're just like, I don't care. Like, this is the way I speak. This is the way.
Okay, so I think for context, people need to remember that I am bilingual. So there's Maltese.
Yes.
And there's the Mediterranean aspect that goes into it as well. So probably similar to, as you said, you feel more comfortable like cursing in Polish.
Yeah.
There is that identity
Uh-huh.
that goes with it, where there is a stronger language
Yes.
deep down. And there is also the culture where with the language meets the culture of that strength.
Yeah.
So if I were to be cursing in Maltese, it is significantly worse than English. I'm assuming very similar to Polish.
Yeah.
Like, there is that like expression nearly where I remember when I moved here, that was the one thing that I struggled with a lot, is expressing myself from start to finish in English. Because saying fucking shit and piss didn't like satisfy what I was feeling inside. So there was that element to it. So I do think I curse a little bit more just to meet up with the Maltese side that like goes with me. Does that make sense?
It does.
So if I were to be speaking Maltese, I wouldn't be cursing as much.
Yeah, I get you.
So there's that. I also use it for humor. So for context, if people are not watching, I'm quite small. I'm like 5'2". So there's a little bit to it as well, where like the cursing also helps in the goofiness. It helps with like the strength and the sarcasm.
Yeah.
So it's all part of it. Is it strategic? No. Have I been swearing from a young age? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also like the way I was raised as well. You know? And I was also like told from a very young age, going like, oh, Debbie, that's not ladylike.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I grew up in a very Catholic girls' school, girls' secondary school. This is not ladylike. This is ladylike. Your skirt has to be a certain length.
Yeah.
You have to stand in a certain way, act in a certain way. And I think that's like majorly affected the way I interact with people, like subconsciously, where I'm like, I have to stand up straight. I have to be polite and nice and quiet and good. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of that, you know?
Yeah.
Those expectations.
100%. I think it just, like with me, the way, I'm sure there's a character thing, but the way I was born and whatever, and the way my brain is, it's like when I tried to do that, people were like, Debbie looks so stupid.
Really?
You know, it looked so unnatural. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and that there is like an identity aspect to it, where I did mention it on the podcast, where I don't know if I want to dress girlier.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right?
It
you're
is,
saying
because
the
I'm the
opposite.
same. I sometimes feel like, okay, I want to dress girlier. Other days I'm like, I want to wear a suit today. And then other days I'm like, I just want to dress like completely like not a girl or a guy, you know?
Exactly. And it's like, when is it, where is that line? When is it for me and when is it for other people?
Yeah.
So I remember like avoiding all of that stuff because I was like, I don't care about it being ladylike because that comes with male attention.
Yes.
And I do not want that.
Yes.
I hate it. Like there was that side of it as well where, you know, you're walking along the road and trailers are reversing to say something to you.
Yeah. And
so
that
there was,
dread that you get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a part of me as well at a young age where I was like, if I keep the tomboy up,
Yeah.
I will avoid that.
Mm.
And that has helped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
It hasn't, unfortunately, I still get the weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so even just being like, just not presenting myself in the girliest way still hasn't made me avoid it. It hasn't excused me of those experiences.
Yes.
That like a really girly woman has to go through. Which is so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's just about testing certain waters and figuring out the discomfort in it.
Definitely.
So like for you, Emma, if like are you uncomfortable cursing, or are you okay? Like, do you just wish to be more like that? You know, would you be comfortable cursing as much as I do, for instance?
I think I would be. I think I've been so like, do you know, like I feel like an elastic string that's been pulled back for so long that like I just want to let go.
You're gonna snap one day.
That one day I'm just gonna like break out of this. Like,
it comes with comfort, though. It comes.
I
with
think
still doing
so.
it.
I think it just comes with being in a place of comfort and timing as well, because I'm still figuring out, and it's only been, to be honest, the last year or so that like I'm figuring even myself out a little bit. 25. Yeah, this is the thing. Like figuring out my identity a little bit and like who I feel like and who I am. Like I've lived for so many years in an eating disorder, in OCD, like that was Emma. And now I'm like, okay, I'm not anorexia. Like I have OCD, but I am not OCD. Like I'm Emma. So like, what is Emma? Like, who is Emma? You know? And I often think like people without that kind of stuff, I'm like, wow, like that must be amazing to have that freedom. Like, I don't know, have you ever experienced like just, this is a strange question, but like, who is Deb? Like, who is like, do you know fully yourself?
No, I don't know myself fully.
Yeah.
But I think it's because this is what we were put on this earth on. If I knew myself fully, we can just call it a day tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I do think that the human existence is about getting closer to the best version of yourself, but figuring a goal out in such a way that once you are on your deathbed, you're okay with what you did.
Yes.
And there's no regrets in that regard. Yeah. In saying that, though, when I first started out the podcast, and I think it was very much like short-term thinking, I was very much like, oh, I wish I had a niche.
Yeah.
So it's not like I wish I had said things that you said. Like I don't wish I had OCD or an eating disorder. But sometimes a lot of people wish that they were pigeonholed into one way or another in such a way where people know what they're coming for. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So I wish I was a kayaker, a marathon runner, a skydiver,
yes.
so that there's more to me in the bio so people can understand me more. In saying that, though, there is something somewhat original in that I am Maltese interviewing Irish people.
But I think so. And it's also intriguing because you're not boxed into, I feel like in some ways, I don't want to be boxed into the mental health category so much.
Come out of that box.
Exactly. Because I'm not just, I'm a mental health advocate. I do love that work and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I also have other hobbies. I have other beliefs. I have issues that I'm really passionate about, social issues, political issues that like I want to share as well. That is me. And I think that's what's great about you, because you don't just have one thing that people expect you to talk about. Like you're an open book.
Exactly.
And you have completely amazing views on so many different things.
It's because I'm just really, really curious.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, and I love to have these type of discussions where it's like, okay, let's figure out something more. Let's figure out something different. So that's the exciting thing. So at first when I started it out and I saw the struggle of like, oh, not that many people are tuning in, whatever, I wish I was boxed in.
Yeah.
Became, Deb, stick to it, because then it's going to be like a year in, and if you were boxed in, you're going to be screwed over, my dude.
It's going to be the same thing all the time.
It's going to be very repetitive.
Yeah.
And look, it's one thing if you are so deep, like the mental health stuff, for instance.
Yes.
There's so many people that are talking about it where the list is endless.
Yes.
And it's super important. But then there comes a point in time where you are going through the same things. Are you going on a walk? Are you feeding yourself? Are you drinking water? Are you exercising?
Yes.
Are you doing this, and that? There are those common commandments, let's put it that way, where it's like, it's not even enough is enough. Keep talking about it because it needs to be talked about. But then if you're not the right person, if you're not a psychologist, if you're not a psychiatrist, if you're not a counselor,
where do you go from there? You know? And the thing is, yeah, we can talk about mental health and we can go over and over. And I feel like I could go over and over my story. But at the same time, I kind of want to show people how I'm overcoming my story and like how I'm doing that, rather than like repeating my story of my past over and over. Like I want to show
out.
Yeah, you tune out. And I want to show people some hope as well that, you know, yeah, I still do struggle and I still have days where it's hard to get out of bed. But like, okay, this is what I'm doing to do that, to get where I want to be. I'm doing stuff to progress and to try and further myself personally and with self-development. And I don't know, I think there's just something missing within the whole mental health like area that's not giving progression or something, you know? It's just staying stuck in it.
So there is progress in regards to talking about it.
Yeah.
So there is that, which is super helpful. I think then it's just like there comes a point in time where it's about you, the person, taking that step.
It is.
To help themselves out or to seek help.
Yeah, because no one can do it for you.
No one. And I think it's really interesting as well, where I feel like you know that you're in your 20s when you start buying the self-help books.
Yes.
For instance. But then you keep reading them to a point where you're like, oof, you're saying the same thing in different words, mate.
Yeah.
So then you start moving on. Oh, can I read memoirs instead? What can other people teach me? Can I read philosophy books, psychology books, for instance, where there's actual research in book form? Don't like if no one needs to be going on Google Scholar to find out what methodology the person used. But it's where does that curiosity take you? Where does that lead you to?
Yes.
If all the mental health chat is leading to no change in regards to budget distribution, in regards to facilities opening up, then it's not about the podcast, it's about the politician.
Yes. And this is the thing. It's about change. And that's why I started, like my whole thing is like change with Emma, because firstly it started with me, change with Emma, and then it just started into this whole bigger thing where like I want people to witness my change, but also change with me as well. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you because you're going to see yourself in 30 episodes time if you do stick to it, where you're going to be like, holy shit, I was so different. So for instance, like I get really red, for instance. My first few episodes, I was red hot. And then I calmed down. But then when I'm going to ask a question, I'm red hot again.
Ah, okay.
So there was that. And now it's just like, look, like I'm fine. cue the red hot cheeks. But it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you're going to be seeing that where you're like, wow, I was so quiet in the first one. I'm so different
Mhm.
now. Maybe you're talking at a louder volume. Maybe
Yes.
you're swearing. I can't wait to see you swear.
Do you know what? I'm going to put that as a goal for myself. Be more me.
Jesus, everyone's going to blame me if you end up like,
Everyone's going to be like
that
Debbie?
fucking Mediterranean. So I
Emma's
go
cursing
back to
all the
where
time.
she's from.
I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
keep it going.
It's going to
I'm
be
sorry.
great though. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
But just that thought of being able to like move into a more authentic version of yourself, I think is like an exciting thing.
But make sure you do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to get like inspired from others and like incorporating certain things. But I think it's about distinguishing, oh, I wish I had the confidence to curse like Debbie, therefore I will curse. Is it to like fit into what she's doing to become like her? Or is it like gonna benefit me, for instance?
Yes.
And that's like the key thing where a lot of people need to like figure it out.
Yes.
But in fairness, change oftentimes does come from inspiration.
Definitely. It definitely does.
And then it's execution and education.
Yes.
Where it becomes authentically you.
Yes.
There needs to be that discomfort.
There definitely does. There definitely does. And do you find like, because I'm at the moment in like, definitely like a mental health social media bubble, you know, where in terms of it's all advocacy, because that's what I want to do. But do you find, so I find social media great for that. Like the community is amazing. And it's so challenging and it's rewarding. But do you find social media good in that way? Like, do you enjoy social media?
I enjoy social media and I can't talk shit about it because it's the reason why this is happening.
Yeah.
I think if we were to go back 20 years time where there wasn't when there wasn't social media, I doubt I could have gone and knocked on the doors of massive media companies telling them, I have a great idea, guys.
Yes.
And they would have told me, yeah.
Yeah.
So it does give me the power. I do think that it is closing the doors on certain nuances, on the power of free thought.
Yeah.
So the likes of clickbait where people just read titles and make a show of, not a show of themselves, but like come to a conclusion based on the title is similar to a clip.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. Like, it's really unfortunate because people aren't even reading the captions sometimes. Like, it's one thing if you want to come up with a clue or an idea and respond to the clip itself. But if you're not even reading the caption, mate, it's just like
yeah.
But I've given up on that.
Yeah.
Before, and that's really interesting. So there was a part in my podcast journey where I was just, you could tell that I was struggling with social media. And I was saying that everyone has a stick up their ass.
Yeah.
Because I felt that hesitation I was disappointed. I was disappointed that, like, why are you coming to such a quick conclusion like that? Like, you're seeing the timestamp. You can clearly see it's a podcast clip. But then I was like, fuck me, man. Someone literally DM'd me asking me, how are you editing it in such a way that you look like you're in the same room? What? Like that's not even the... How do I pick the right word? But it's like, if they couldn't even comprehend being in the same room with the person, there's only so much that I can expect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where then I was like, you know what? As long as I check my own boxes,
yes,
then I'm good.
Yeah.
Did I show that it's from a podcast clip? Yes. Did I tell them where they can go? Yes. Did I word it in such a way where it is a little bit out there to stir the pot? Am I showing them that this is just part of it? Am I wording it correct? Yeah. Then it's up to you guys.
That's true. It is up to that point to kind of understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But like, do you ever find, because coming back to the mental health stuff, I've had to make myself very vulnerable. Like, I've really put myself out there. Do you find that you've kind of left some of that vulnerability to yourself? Have you protected some of that vulnerability, or do you put yourself out there quite a lot in terms of like emotionally with social media?
Ooh, I okay, I've never been in a situation so far in which an announcement of some sort had to be made.
Okay.
So Malta is very similar to Ireland, in which you keep your problems to yourself.
Right.
In saying that, though, it's like, I don't know, vulnerability is an interesting one. I think me being vulnerable would consist of me sharing more of myself.
Yes.
Which you don't exactly see on my social media.
And that's what I was wondering, because
it's a mystery, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a mystery to me.
So, yeah, in fairness, am I a semi-chicken? Maybe, you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because I think we're just different in that way. And I think it's good to have that difference, because sometimes I feel maybe I'm sharing...
Like you're oversharing?
Maybe I'm doing it in an authentic way.
Yeah.
And I want to share what I'm sharing, but maybe other people see it as me being too vulnerable, being too oversharing. And I guess for you keep some cards under the table for yourself.
But I've always been like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I explain to people a lot of the time. Literally my friends as well are always going like, Deb, how are you? Like we are an hour or 2 hours into a coffee. And I'm not saying it's been about them, but there is that natural element of like, Debbie does hold her shit together a lot.
Like, would you ever just, come on and say, I'm having a bad day today, or I'm really struggling, or...
Yes. Yes. I don't shy away from that.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, I do spare the details. Depending on the person. When it comes to social media, I do spare them. Yeah. And the reason for that is, I don't know if it's control. I don't know if there's like another element to it, but it's like, I don't need people to come up with their own bizarre solutions.
Yes.
And that is like an understanding of people where like the moment that you talk about a problem, I'm sure that you fucking had to go through it.
Yes.
Where they come up with with what they think is a genius solution, whereby it can sometimes come across a little bit belittling.
Yes.
And I know that enough about myself where I kind of nearly get offended if I'm belittled. I don't deal with belittling well.
Yes.
So I don't put myself in a situation to be belittled. Definitely. Does that make sense?
It does, because I definitely feel coming out with my story initially, I'm always like, coming out with my story. Like, it's this massive...
People definitely think you're the lesbian.
You know, yeah, for sure. So my coming out story. But no, it literally feels like a coming out story, because I'm like...
Yeah.
It felt a little bit degrading at times, to be honest with you, because I've had to be so vulnerable that, like, I'm not going to lie, like stepping outside my door and seeing my neighbors sometimes, I know they know absolutely everything going on with me. And that feels a little bit degrading, you know? And I wouldn't take any of it back. I really wouldn't.
Very good.
Because it's taught me so much. It's taught me that I don't have to be afraid to be myself. This is what I'm struggling with. Don't need to hide it anymore. I don't need to be fake anymore. I was being fake so much. I don't need to lie anymore. But it's also hard to be that vulnerable. Like, it's scary, you know?
It is. But I think it's just like figuring out when and where and what.
Yeah.
You know? And right now, it's like, sure, there's so many things happening. And I also do suffer a little bit with someone else has it worse than me. I do get that a little bit. In saying that, though, I don't like people thinking that they have the upper hand on me.
No.
So I don't trust people a lot. And I think it's just because I've seen the way word spreads and all that, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So I just I do hold a lot of cards under my sleeve. It's not that I don't chat away with them. I've spoken about, like, for instance, I've spoken about issues with mental health when it comes to like being addicted to my inhaler, like a loser. So like I do say certain things where I know that they will help people. Like, for instance, my asthma story.
Yeah.
like needs to be fucking, I'm not saying my one, but asthma needs to be spoken about more. In saying that though, it's like I don't make it my own thing.
Yes.
I am not the right person. The right person is a professor.
Yep. I respect that as well.
Yeah.
I definitely do respect that, because there is that issue of lived experience and how much that is viewed as, I suppose, how would I put it? Even in an academic situation, I know a lot of professors and teachers with lived experience have been looked down upon. You know, they've been kind of judged and seen as unreliable.
Why?
Because it's with mental health, I suppose you can be seen a lot of time as unwell. And unwell means you're unreliable. And unreliable means you're not going to turn up and do the job and do it properly.
Okay.
You know, so I think a lot of people with lived experience in academia can struggle in that way, because they're not taken as you're here, you're going to show up, you're going to do the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think too emotional.
Yeah, you're too emotional. Or I think that's tough, because we need more people in schools, in colleges, like sharing experiences and stories, and in a lot of professionals that I know deal with a lot of stuff. Like even, you know, people in high positions have autism and different disorders, but mask it really, really well because they're afraid. But also I think it's good to, as you said, respect where people are coming from. Like, keep your cards if you want to keep your cards. Share your story if you want to share your story. But also to see like how amazing is that you have that platform that you can just be so open and willing to listen to other people's stories.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I feel like that is like what is authentic to me, is listening to others and trying to bring out the best in them, whereby I ask them the questions that they've never been asked before.
Yeah. And that's special. Like that's special.
Yeah.
Such a special quality to have as a person.
Exactly.
To be able to listen, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And you're able to host so many people to make them feel empowered and like, wow, like that's a talent and that's special.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It is though. And I think that's something to be treasured. And I think more people need to be listeners, you know, and to just be able to be open.
Yeah, I do wish that like I do wish the audience sometimes is bigger, but I do know that will come about eventually.
Definitely.
Because the way I'm seeing it is consistency and constantly showing up. People are going to figure out something more about me every single time.
Yes.
Without it becoming my whole identity. I don't want my personal life to be like the card that people hold against me.
Yes.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because I've seen the way social media has broken relationships, has broken people, has broken their careers, their businesses, whatever it may be. And it's like, for something so fragile.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that doesn't then matter so much.
Exactly.
It's like, is it worth it?
No.
And sensationalism is huge.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like, I'm so happy that you had to, like, you spoke about it in such a way that, like, it was vulnerable and it was good.
Yeah.
But you had to speak from a place of strength and also knowledge.
Yeah. And it also came from a place of...
It was going to help other people.
I think so. But it also came from a place of needing to, like, an urgency to do it, you know, because it felt like if I didn't do this right now, then I'm not going to get the help. But then what's going to happen to other people?
Yeah.
You know, like I just saw, like, it's like this curtain came down and I saw all of these people that were in the same position as me. And it was like, I need to do something.
Like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
It's like someone needs to speak about what's going on and like shed this light and maybe be a bit like harsh about it and be a bit harsh to the people
you have to
that
be
need to hear it.
confrontational.
Yeah.
You have to be. You have to be. And that's something that I avoid confrontation like no other.
Uh-huh.
And why do I avoid it? I feel like I avoid it just because I'm not an argumentative person. I'm probably one of the calmest people to argue with.
Yeah.
Because I entertain each and every side like it's nobody's fucking business. Call me the Joker at this stage. In saying that, though, it's like I don't care about being right.
Yes.
I just care about whether or not someone is going to take something away from it, if someone's going to benefit from it.
Yes.
And you saw the benefit, therefore you did something.
Yes.
And for me, it's like, that's why it's actually called Take Two. It's like another take,
Yes.
another perspective
Yeah.
on the same person, the same topic, the same experience. Which is like the exciting thing about it, you know?
That's the thing.
But like, that is my job. That's why I'm not that much of a confrontational person, because I have nothing to gain from it. The person arguing has a lot more to gain if they were to backspace their silly comment and listen to the full, like maybe, so I do timestamps on my podcast.
Yeah.
And that is literally me putting in an extra 30 minutes of work so that if someone saw a clip that somewhat triggered them or challenged them, they don't even need to listen to the full hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
They need to listen to the 5-10 minutes.
Yes.
It's like, if I'm presenting everything on a plate for you, why am I going to be confrontational, my dude?
And I don't think there's a need to be confrontational when you can have an educated and civil conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and if both parties are like willing to do that, then I think that can be like a beneficial thing for society, you know?
And sometimes people say it's silly to assume that.
Yeah.
And I've obviously been challenged on it time and time again. In saying that, though, I don't want, I have dumbed down or I have simplified content in order for it to reach more people.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, I don't, I'm not gonna expect anything. My expectations are out of the window.
Yeah.
My assumptions are out of the window, but I don't want to dumb it down.
No.
To a point where, like, I'm gonna contribute to people still, like, getting dumber.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you want to share your knowledge.
Not my knowledge, even the other person's knowledge, the guest's knowledge.
Yeah.
Or even the commenter's knowledge to join the conversation even more.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I know, like, me hearing myself say that came across a little bit like degrading. It's not degrading whatsoever. It's more just like, I don't want to contribute to the to conversations losing their substance for clickbait.
No,
That's
it's not worth it. It really isn't.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be selling my soul for that.
Yeah, and why do that? Because what you're creating is an important thing, and it's spreading awareness. And
yeah,
I mean, like, even listening to your podcasts and stuff, I wouldn't normally like hear these kind of conversations in my day to day, and then you're hearing them and you like, wow, you take away something that you can actually go to your friend or whoever you're talking to and be like, I heard this today. That's amazing.
I just love to have conversations in such a way where someone goes, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
Or else, like, you, for anyone listening, or for you to know, if ever at a point in time you see my social media and you see more people giving different takes, know that that's when Debbie succeeded. That's when I succeeded, where they listened to me, they listened to the person, and then they're also joining in.
Yes.
That's it. That is when I know I created a conversation.
Yes.
Because as we both kind of discussed before this, the education system needs a change. And I am heavily inspired by the likes of philosophers back in the Greek times, where they had like outdoor lectures and conversations, and then they were sharing notes.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's like creating your own perspective. And I think that's what you kind of said, like, about like me being somewhat original. There is that, and that's why our common point of contact is also Dara Fleming.
Yes.
Who takes in a lot of things from different people and then has created his own thing.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do. And through the podcast, I feel like I'm trying to allow the listeners that maybe might not have the opportunity to sit down in front of me and have that chat, but have the opportunity to learn from other people.
Yes.
On a weekly basis about new things.
Yeah. Because they might not have access to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so much fun. It's so unique.
It is.
Like, it's so much fun being human. What the fuck? We're so lucky.
I know.
I could have been a pig.
Literally, could have been a leaf.
Or a leaf. There
Yeah.
But that's why you're so like nice. You're so precious, Emma.
No.
Yes. Say fuck, just so that.
Fuck.
There you go. We made it normal again. You had to do that. But yeah, there you go. It's so
I
good.
love it. So, what can we see from you coming in the future? Give us some spice. Give us some secrets.
Weren't we just talking about me holding all my cards under my sleeve, my
Give me
dude?
something. Give me something.
I'd like to do a live show sometime soon.
Ooh, yes.
But I have no idea where to start that out from.
Let's manifest that for you.
Sure.
Everyone listening, let's manifest a live show.
Yeah, and say fuck right now.
And say fuck. Everyone, when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Fuck.
There you go. I'd like to do a live show, but I'd want it to be somewhat original.
Yeah.
So I need to think about that. What else would... I think it's more just growth. I think I just want to wake up one day and just focus on the conversation I'm going to have.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about, unfortunately, you need to look at money, you need to look at audience, you need to look at all that kind of stuff. I feel like I have been working relentlessly towards that, but I also am not expecting anything to happen overnight this year.
Yeah.
Unless I really trigger someone to... Like, you know how interesting the world works, Emma? With all the TikTok content that I've been posting out, the one thing that has garnered millions of views was me biting an apple, throwing it on a chopping board, and admitting that I was too stubborn to admit that my mom was right, and when I need a snack, I can just have fruit.
Wow.
From all the podcast clips that was there, that's what the algorithm picked. So it's one of those things that is funny. You know,
yes.
Life is funny and it's not personal.
No.
And that, like, when that happened and I saw my phone just like ticking and all that, I was just like, wow, this really is out of my control.
Yeah.
So in saying that, there, like, a weight was lifted off my shoulders where I was like, I accept that big things are going to happen.
Yes.
Rather than desperately want.
Definitely.
Nothing good comes out of desperation.
No. And I think for me, a big thing is accepting that I can't control everything and I don't have certainty in anything.
No.
So I just have to kind of go with the flow.
You have to go with the flow. You have to take that first step. You have to embrace that discomfort. And then I'm sure people have asked you, so what's the podcast about? It's like, mate, I don't fucking know. All I know is that I love doing it.
Exactly. And it's about life. And as you said, life is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's mad and it's a bit mental at times, you know?
But it's not personal though.
No.
It's really not.
No.
Like, the way certain things happened, I'm sure everyone can look back on their life and go, you know, if that didn't happen to me, then I wouldn't have done that. And that wouldn't have
this
happened.
didn't happen.
And you go like, wow, that's a lot of magic in there. There's a lot of serendipity in there. Where sure, you don't wish that experience on anyone else.
Yeah.
But if that didn't happen, maybe a lot of good that you're experiencing right now wouldn't have.
That is so true.
Exactly.
That is so true.
So it's like, I think once I realized that, I was like, you know what? Let me just go with my gut. Say yes to the things that make my asshole tingle.
Yep.
And then we just keep moving from
there. I love
there.
it. And I think for anyone listening, just to take away what you said, if you're going through a rough time right now, just know that something good might be coming out the other end of it.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds a bit cliche, it's true. You know, something good will come out the other end of it.
Yeah. Whatever makes your asshole tingle, just go
I love
it.
I think that's a perfect way to end this.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you so, so much.
Give them another fuck.
Okay. This is going to be the last one, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And we're going to end it on a fuck.
Yo! Let's go. I fucking love that.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you want any further information about any of the topics we discussed, please go to the show notes below where you can find all the relevant links. See you next week.